What if the most damaging Epstein files yet just put Donald Trump closer to the scandal than ever before? Tonight, we break down the new images, the strange depreciation check that's ricocheting across newsrooms, and a TV moment where Ghislaine Maxwell's own lawyer described the government relationship as always a quid pro quo. No hype, just receipts, context, and the obvious question: why are key names still being kept secret?
And we also have Ghislaine Maxwell's lawyer admitting to a quid pro quo on CNN. If you don't know what that means, a quid pro quo is when someone offers or implies a reciprocal relationship or an exchange of favors.
Let's start with what is actually new and why it matters. Congressional investigators released a trove of Epstein materials, including the notorious private birthday book. Within it, outlets reported a letter that appears to be from Donald Trump, alongside other eyebrow-raising entries. Trump has denied authorship and is suing the Wall Street Journal over its coverage. But the document itself is now part of the public cachet that lawmakers examined. Reuters confirmed the birthday book letter's existence in the materials Congress posted, while noting Trump's denial and lawsuit.
It's not my signature.
You signed the Epstein birthday letter.
It's not my signature, and it's not the way I speak. And anybody that's covered me for a long time knows that's not my language. It's nonsense. And frankly, you're wasting your time. All you do is trying to get off the great success of DC and about 200 other things we've done that are so successful. This is a great, great success, and we have so many. I don't think any president in their first 8 months has had anywhere near the success that we've had.
So will you meet with the Epstein victims?
Birthday card letter that Donald Trump gave to Epstein that shows what I believe to be a young girl, prepubescent, with a written note on it and Donald Trump's signature. Well, now there's another picture that's come out of a check that Donald Trump gave to Epstein that Donald Trump says is for a depreciated woman. Let's keep going. It came from businessman a long time ago member Joel Pashkow, who made a crude joke about a woman that Trump and Epstein socialized with in the 90s. The letter included a photo of a poster-sized check for $22,500, which has been mocked up to appear that it was sent from Trump to Epstein. Beneath it, a handwritten caption that said, quote, Jeffrey showing early talents with money and women sells fully depreciated, redacted, to Donald Trump for $22,500. The woman's name is redacted in the image. Pashkow and his attorney didn't respond to comment. A lawyer for the woman said she doesn't know Pashkow and has no knowledge of the letter, naming her, which the lawyer called a disgusting and deeply disturbing hoax. Trump was listed under the Friends section in the book's a table of contents. And as Aaron Rupar says here, the details from this seem pretty bad.
Then there is the image that has everyone talking. A mocked-up, poster-sized check for $22,500 tied to a crude depreciation joke about a woman from the circles where Trump and Epstein socialized in the 1990s. Time reviewed the same file. It cites a letter attributed to longtime Mar-a-Lago member Joel Pashkow, includes a photo of that oversized check, and says the woman's name is redacted. Time also reports that a lawyer for the woman called the letter a disgusting and deeply disturbing hoax, underscoring how much in Epstein's archive is designed to shock, smear, or flatter rather than establish facts. Importantly, Time also notes Trump's denial of the lewd drawing attributed to him elsewhere in the cache, and that he's suing the journal. That is the right way to treat this material. It is evidence of what was compiled and circulated in Epstein's world, not proof that every claim inside it is true.
Against the president, you've said he didn't sign that check, that he didn't sign the birthday card that he allegedly signed. So what is the theory, since these documents came from the Epstein estate? Who is I guess in your view, faking these documents?
I did not say the documents are a hoax. I said the entire narrative surrounding Jeffrey Epstein right now that is absorbing many of the liberal cable channels on television is a hoax that is being perpetuated by opportunistic Democrats like Ro Khanna and the others whom you saw on that press conference outside of Capitol Hill, who are trying to push this hoax against the President of the United States.
What exactly is the hoax? I'm just trying to understand what's fake. What's fake is not the documents.
The hoax is the Democrats pretending to care about victims of crime when they do not care about victims of crime, when they have done nothing to solve crimes, when they have done nothing to lock up child pedophiles and child rapists across the country, and when they are now using victims as political props to try and, again, smear the President of the United States and drag on this bad story about him. It is a distraction. The Democrats view this story as nothing more than an attempt to distract from the accomplishments and the achievements of this administration. And that is what we mean when we call it a hoax.
If he didn't sign these...
So where does that leave us? With two parallel truths. First, the archive clearly places Trump in Epstein's orbit, repeatedly and over many years. Second, individual items inside that archive vary in reliability, intent, and provenance. Some will turn out to be accurate, some half-true, some disinformation planted by people who thrived on proximity, access, and sleaze. If you want to understand the stakes, look at what is still hidden. The Justice Department recently asked a federal judge to keep the names of two people who received large payments from Epstein in 2018 under seal. According to reporting by NBC's Tom Winter, those payments were $100,000 and $250,000 respectively, and came days after the Miami Herald's Bombshell series revived scrutiny of Epstein's 2008 Florida plea. The DOJ cites the individual's privacy concerns as the reason the names should remain redacted. A judge has given NBC News until September 12th to respond to DOJ's position. If Epstein is dead, and federal prosecutors say they are not charging third parties, why protect the identities of six-figure beneficiaries in 2018? That is a fair question for the court and for the public. Now to Ghislaine Maxwell and the quid pro quo moment that set off alarms. In recent weeks, Maxwell met with senior Justice Department officials and was later transferred from a higher security facility in Florida to a minimum security federal prison camp in Bryan, Texas. Reuters confirmed her presence at FCI Bryan this summer, and local Texas outlets also reported the transfer. On CNN, during a panel about that timeline, Maxwell attorney Arthur Aidala said, in general terms, that when a defense client meets with prosecutors, there's always a quid pro quo, describing the way cooperation and benefits typically work in plea practice.
Also in that book is a cartoon of Jeffrey Epstein giving balloons to children, and then those same children then giving him a massage. This is the type of stuff that Donald Trump was involved with. Now, I want to point out, too, before we get to this next clip of the quid pro quo, that, and this kind of have gone on the radar, this is 2 days ago, but the DOJ says that names associated with Jeffrey Epstein, who wired $100,000 and $200,000 and $250,000, should stay secret.
Let's go first to NBC's Yamiche Alcindor at the White House with an NBC News exclusive. There's some new information within just this last hour, Yamiche, on the Epstein investigation. So what have we learned so far, and what's going to come next?
Well, good afternoon, Alex. Just in the last hour, our colleague Tom Winter broke the news that the DOJ on Friday asked a federal judge overseeing the case of deceased sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein to deny a request from NBC News to unseal the names of two associates who received large payments from Epstein in 2018, court documents show. The Justice Department cited privacy concerns expressed by the two individuals as the reason for not making their names public. Now, the first associate received a payment of $100,000 from Epstein. The second associate received a payment of $250,000. Now, both of those payments happened in 2018, just days after the Miami Herald began publishing a series of stories where victims criticized a plea deal Epstein received in Florida in 2008. Now, as part of that plea agreement, Epstein secured a statement from federal prosecutors in Florida that the two people would not be prosecuted. Now, the payments became public after Epstein was indicted and arrested in New York in 2019. And just last month, NBC News sent a letter asking a federal judge to unseal the redacted names because Epstein's dead, the criminal proceedings have ended, and the DOJ said in a memo in July that there would be no additional charges filed against uncharged third parties. The judge has now given NBC News until September 12th to respond to the DOJ's request that the names remain secret. It's not known when the judge will make a final decision about NBC News' request.
Whatever one thinks of Maxwell, the comment inflamed the discussion because of the perceived sequence: meeting, then move. To be precise, Idala spoke in generalities about standard criminal justice bargaining. He did not publicly lay out any specific deal for Maxwell, nor has DOJ confirmed one. But the optics speak for themselves, and they fuel the call for transparency. If you are watching all of this and thinking, this feels like two justice systems, you are not alone. The Epstein universe was a spiderweb of power. Billionaires, politicians, media bosses, and fixers trading favors and shaping narratives. That web is exactly why these new disclosures matter. They give us hard artifacts. They also show you how much is still being hidden. Here is how to read the file dump without getting played. First, separate what is documented from what is alleged. It is documented that Trump and Epstein knew each other, moved in the same Palm Beach and New York circles, and appeared together publicly on multiple occasions over many years. It is documented that the birthday book and associated letters and images now sit in a congressional release, whether or not every page inside is authentic or accurate. It is documented that Maxwell is serving time for sex trafficking minors and is now in a lower security facility. It is documented that DOJ is asking to keep two 2018 recipient names sealed. What is alleged? That Trump authored every page in the cache attributed to him. That the oversized check image represents an actual transaction. That any specific quid pro quo benefited Maxwell in exchange for concrete cooperation. Those are allegations, not established facts. They may be true, they may be false. They may be a mix of both. That is exactly why courts, journalists, and the public should demand evidence, not vibes.
Arthur, just a second.
You just knew him?
Arthur, the Deputy Attorney General met with Ghislaine, and then she
Yes,
shortly
probably.
thereafter moved to a Kushida prison.
Yes.
Why?
Well, there are things I'm not allowed to talk about, right? So there are things I can't talk about.
Okay, but let's just
obviously
pause
I can talk in generalities.
Let's just pause.
When anybody who's represented by a lawyer who knows what they're doing goes in and meets with the government, there's always a quid pro quo. You don't just take your client in and say, let me talk to you about something. They wanted information from, hypothetically, anytime the government wants an information from a citizen, the citizen says, well, I have a right to remain silent. If you want me to give up that right, I need something in return. Usually it's a plea bargain. Usually your charges are going to be lowered and your exposure. Why are you laughing? I've done that for 35 years.
You just admitted to a quid pro quo with the
But that's how the whole system works.
Would
The
this
whole
have
system
happened
works on a quid
before
pro
or
quo.
after the interview, Arthur? Would this have happened before or after the interview? Would they have said to her, we're going to do this interview, and in exchange for it, you're going to go to this other prison?
The truth is, Abigail, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
I don't know the answer to that question. I don't have knowledge of when that decision was made. But usually for me, because I did not walk Ghislaine into that particular proceeding, but before I go in and meet a prosecutor with my client, I say, fine, she'll come in and tell you Van also was involved. But before she points the finger at Van, I want some assurance from you that she's going to get a benefit.
For the record, there's nothing Van has been implicated at all.
Epstein collected leverage. He curated his own mythology and others' reputations. Letters that brag, fawn, or smear are valuable to people who live on access. A poster-sized check about a depreciated woman is not a financial instrument. It is a prop. Props are meant to impress, intimidate, or humiliate. They are also meant to be discovered one day. Third, follow the process. The unsealing fight in federal court is not a sideshow. If those 2018 payments were innocent, anonymity should not be needed now that prosecutors say they are done charging third parties. If those payments were part of something darker, the public interest in disclosure is obvious. Either way, the court will have to balance privacy with transparency. That ruling will tell you a lot about whether this era is serious about equal justice. Finally, keep score on the record, not the spin. You will hear fake, AI, hoax, witch hunt, and old news. You will also hear case closed, nothing burger, and move on. None of that changes the core developments. A congressional release placed new Epstein artifacts into the public domain. Reputable outlets have confirmed what is in that release and what remains disputed. DOJ is actively keeping names out of public view. And Maxwell's counsel described the classic prosecution-defense trade structure on national TV as critics questioned her transfer. Here is what that means for Trump today. He is not charged in Epstein's crimes. He absolutely denies authoring the lewd material and has sued one outlet over its coverage. At the same time, he is repeatedly present in Epstein's social ecosystem, implicated by association in documents that range from credible to grotesque. That tension is exactly why his lawyers fight hard over the framing, and why his political allies attack the messengers. It is also why independent reporting and court-ordered sunlight matter more than ever. So let's put the questions to you, because this channel is a conversation with people who care about facts. Should the judge unseal the two names tied to Epstein's six-figure 2018 payments, given that prosecutors say there will be no further third-party charges? Do you think a general quid pro quo is appropriate if it results in cooperation that makes powerful people accountable? Or is the timing of Maxwell's transfer too convenient to ignore? And how should the press cover salacious artifacts like that depreciation check image without becoming a megaphone for smears? Tell me in the comments. I'm reading every one. If you value independent coverage that sources what it says, hit like so more people see this, and subscribe so you do not miss the next update when the court rules on the unsealing fight. Share this video with someone who thinks this story is too messy to follow. It is not. We can keep it simple. Show the documents. Show the process. Show the truth. Because here is the bottom line. Epstein's power was built on secrecy. If you want that power to finally end, you do not need rumors. You need daylight. If you made it this far, you are the kind of viewer who keeps this channel strong. Tap subscribe, ring the bell, and drop your take below. Unseal the names or not, and why? Let's crowdsource the questions we should send to the court and the DOJ for answers on the record.